Tonight we're not waiting for a headline, we're walking through a clock the 48 hours after a coordinated cyberattack hits the United States. Not explosions, not movie hacking, the quiet failure of systems you use every day. The card reader that suddenly says try again, the hospital portal that spins, the airport board that fills with delay codes, the traffic lights that blink because a substation had to shed load. This is not fear-mongering, it's a map, so that when the unexpected happens, your next hour is boring instead of frantic. Hour zero rarely looks dramatic. It looks like friction. A payment processor timeouts in a handful of zip codes. A regional bank throttles its mobile app because traffic spikes and the risk desk wants to be safe. A logistics company's label system lags, adding 5 seconds to every scan, nothing to tweet about, but deadly at scale. Inside utilities, anomaly dashboards light up in orange rather than red. Engineers know the difference and they move to manual checks. Social media sees none of this and would ignore it if it did. But the quiet hour is the one that matters, because that's where defenders can contain, or miss. By hour one, the problem has a shape. It isn't one industry, it's several. Payment networks, a hospital chain's scheduling system, a regional airport's check-in tools, a power utilities, substation, communications, and yes, some of it might be coincidence, because reality is messy. But coincidence doesn't cluster neatly across sectors on a Tuesday afternoon. Security teams compare notes and find the pattern. A coordinated attempt to exhaust the seams between public and private networks, between IT and OT, between what people think of as the internet and what keeps the lights on. The fastest move isn't a patch. It's segmentation, shrink the blast radius, restrict connections, keep small fires small. Hour 226 is the phase you can feel. A grocery line stops for 15 minutes with a handwritten sign, cash only. Most people shrug, some get loud. A pharmacy system defers non-urgent refills until later today. A hospital diverts to ambulances, not because doctors are gone, but because routers are unhappy. Flights don't cancel, they delay while systems reset. Your banking app opens, then spins on a white screen and politely tells you to try again. You don't panic. You swipe to another app. Meanwhile, utility operators do the most boring, most important work in the world, checking manual indicators, making conservative calls, and talking to each other constantly. Electricity is a dance. The grid is a balancing act between generation and demand. If comms are noisy, the safe move is to shed a little load in the places that can handle it. If your neighborhood flickers for 3 minutes and then comes back steady, that might be what you just lived through. Caution, not collapse. From hour 6 to 12, the story moves from technical to social. News anchors start a segment with the words, reports of scattered outages. That phrase is more important than it sounds, because words set behavior. If people hear scattered, they keep driving. If they hear nationwide, they line up. Officials choose their verbs carefully. Isolate, restore, monitor. Cyber teams publish indicators of compromise to their peers, so other defenders can block what they already saw. In some cities, police set up old-school traffic control because a handful of signals defaulted to flashing modes. Nobody crashes. It's slower, and slower is safe. Airports work the problem the way professionals do, move the jam to a corner, board where you can keep pushing metal. Every delay that ends in wheels up is a victory. A few hospitals go to downtime procedures, pulling paper binders that exist for this exact reason. That isn't regression, it's resilience. When digital stumbles, analog keeps people alive. Hour 12 to 24 is the inflection. Either the attack used its best tricks already and defenders are winning the race to segment, clean, and restore, or the attackers kept a second set of tools hidden for the moment when everyone is tired. If there's a second wave, it targets trust more than machines. Spoofed alerts that look official, but aren't. Fake screenshots of bank balances at zero. A convincingly edited clip of a CEO telling employees to go home. The goal isn't sabotage, it's stampede. If you want to slow a city, you don't need a crater. You need 10,000 people to choose the same exit at once. This is where leadership matters. Clear, boring, verified messages beat spicy rumors every time. When officials say what they know and what they don't, when they describe exactly how to get help if a service is down, panic stops selling. Markets notice long before the public does. Payment networks reroute traffic. Energy traders watch grid reports. Insurers keep a quiet log of what it might cost. If this becomes a pattern, prices twitch. Volatility does what volatility does. But if the lights mostly stay on and planes mostly leave, the tape calms itself. Because markets are allergic to drama and addicted to throughput. Small businesses feel the drag first. Deliveries a day late, an invoice that bounces back for resubmission, a weekend shift converted to weekday because a supplier asked for 12 more hours. None of this breaks a city. All of it accumulates like fog. Hour 24 to 36 is where the bigger questions show up. Do governors activate guard units to backfill critical sites, not to patrol with rifles, but to help with logistics, traffic, shelters, and hospitals that need steady hands? Do federal agencies run a joint briefing, so that state officials and private operators are literally reading from the same page? Does the White House choose a podium moment, not to scold, but to instruct? Here's how to see verified updates. Here's where not to send your clicks. Here's how to help your neighbors while services catch up. In a cyber event, sunlight is medicine. The more competent information people see, the fewer conspiracy theories get oxygen. Hour 36 to 48 is the home stretch. It's not heroic, it's methodical. Payment networks clear backlogs. Hospitals clear rescheduled procedures. Airports unwind skeleton queues. Utilities declare a cautious green on systems that they kept in amber until every checklist box was real, not optimistic. You might still see a few cash-only signs, but they're now human issue. Staffing, shift changes, stores making sure accounting stays clean rather than network failures. Somewhere, a city that had the worst of it will take a full week to feel normal. But at the national scale, it becomes a story about hardening rather than a story about crisis. What does a calm household plan look like for 48 hours like this? It's not a bunker, it's friction control. A small cash buffer so a card hiccup doesn't cancel dinner or gas. Backup light and power for phones, and a router so information stays yours. Printed contacts for family who'd be hurt by a dead phone. A medication cushion measured in a few days, not months, so a pharmacy delay becomes a shrug, not a scare. And a list taped inside a cabinet door titled, "If Things Get Weird," with 3 lines. Check official alerts. Call the neighbor who needs help. Don't crowd the problem. That's not dramatic. That's how communities beat noise. There's also a civic layer people forget. Ask your workplace where the continuity plan lives. Make sure your kid's school has your right number for emergency texts. See if your city S-alert system is still going to an email you don't check. Boring wins. In every real emergency, boring people with good lists quietly become heroes because they move first in the right direction without asking the internet for permission. Could a coordinated attack be worse than the timeline we just walked? Yes, anything can be worse with bad luck and bad decisions, but reality is stubborn. Complexity favors defenders who plan and practice. Payment networks are built to route around damage. Grids are built to fail safe. Hospitals are built to go analog. Airports are built to separate problems and keep pushing. The nightmare scenarios you see online are usually what happens when everyone gives up at once. That's not how professionals act. They narrow the problem until it fits inside a box, and then they empty the box a piece at a time. Here's the principle to keep. Distance doesn't protect you from cyber, but discipline does. The discipline of companies that segment and patch. The discipline of officials who speak plainly. The discipline of citizens who resist clicking what they want to be true. If the United States rides through a 48-hour attack with more boredom than panic, that's victory. Not fireworks, not memes, a quiet shift change where the next team says, "We've got it," and the coffee is still warm. If this helped you picture the timeline more clearly, subscribe to Red Alert Zone and turn on notifications. In our next briefing, we map how a Baltic drone incident could pull NATO from Article 4 to the edge of Article 5 in 24 hours and what that means for American households. Stay informed, stay prepared, stay steady. There's a final piece to this map, the city-level case study that turns theory into muscle memory. Picture a mid-size American city on a weekday afternoon. The first hint isn't darkness, it's delay. A hospital's radiology portal starts timing out. So the on-call tech flips the downtime binder open and rolls a cart with printed labels and barcodes. In the utility control room, operators shift from automated switching to manual confirmations, lower but safer. At a grocery chain warehouse, scanners lag 5 seconds per item. That's enough to move a supervisor onto the floor to keep pallets flowing while IT segments the network. Meanwhile, the police department's traffic unit parks at a busy intersection where signals are flashing and runs a simple, old-school play. Human control beats algorithmic confusion. Communications decide the mood. The mayor's office posts a verified thread with 3 lines that matter more than a press conference. Services affected. what's being restored, and what residents can do that actually helps check on neighbors. Keep intersections clear, avoid rumor screenshots. Local radio partners repeat the same script every 15 minutes. Fire and EMS move to dispatch codes that assume radio dead spots and build in redundancy. Nothing heroic, just professionals doing the boring work that prevents big problems from becoming permanent ones. By evening, the grid sheds a small slice of load in neighborhoods with best backup coverage. People notice a flicker, then stability. At the airport, a batch of flights departs out of order, not elegant, but moving metal is victory. Banks start clearing queued transactions once segments are clean, and the first push notification most folks see is also the most powerful. Your payment has been processed. It's not a slogan. It's proof that throughput is returning. Day 2 looks like a cleanup shift. Hospitals reconcile paper to digital. Pharmacies finish delayed refills. Supermarkets run extra overnight staff to reshelf what got stuck in trailers. City IT publishes indicators of compromise to peer networks, turning pain into prevention, and the story that could have been panic becomes a lesson. Segmentation worked. Manual backups worked. Clear public messaging worked. The win isn't applause. It's a quiet city where the loudest sound is a barcode beep back at normal speed.